Всем привет, я Радислав Гандапас, и сегодняшний мой собеседник в разговоре о репутации и успехе — бывший посол Люксембурга в России, Беларуси и Казахстане, а сегодня независимый член совета по устойчивому развитию АО «Газпромбанк» Жан-Клод Кнебелер. Здравствуйте.
Здравствуйте. Здравствуйте.
Здравствуйте. Прекрасно. По-русски. Начнем с вопроса. We'll start from the question about your former and real career. Now, why you changed your lifestyle and your way?
It's a question that everybody asks. Why? Not only why I decided to change careers, but also why did you stay in Moscow? Before I was posted in New York. If I had decided to stay in New York, nobody would ask the question. Everybody would say, "Whoa, yes." No, but it's a serious question. Firstly, because when you join an organization or the civil service when you're 24, you see where you're going. You can calculate your pension in the end, and I was never really comfortable in a situation where the trajectory is very much pre-programmed. I found myself 43 years old. I had reached the top that I could reach, the rank of ambassador. So what to do? I was looking for other challenges, plus I had some family considerations. We were planning to have another child, and I did not necessarily want to move. I saw opportunities also in Russia, and in the end, I like Moscow.
How your former career helps you in today?
You know, as a diplomat, you're trained, or you have to be by character, a person who is curious, wants to understand and learn new things, likes to meet people, is good with people, and touches on a lot of things. So it helped me over the past to gain an understanding of many different sectors of the economy. It helped me to build a very large network of contacts around the world. I think with an open mind, just to do and try new things. In a normal career of a diplomat, every 4 or 5 years you move to a new country, a new job, a new function. So doing something new was not something that would be unknown to me.
And by the way, will Russian business be European standards oriented nearest future?
I believe that Russia in the end is a very European civilization with its very own characteristics. It's not Spain, it's not Germany, but it's European in terms of culture. And Europe is the largest market for Russia. I mean, President Putin confirmed it when he had his meeting with Chancellor Merkel on Friday. So you have to align somehow. Russia will always take care of its own interests and develop its own sovereignty. But if you want to have a client relationship, a client-supplier relationship, you have to align somehow. Otherwise, nobody will buy or supply you, and that way there will be an alignment of some kind, but Russia will always keep its own characteristics.
How do you define reputation?
Reputation is how others see you. And that is something that depends very much on who you are, but not only, because you can be a good person, as good as you want to be, but if nobody knows about it, then it's difficult for you to project this idea. So reputation is something that needs to be worked on, but not, in an overly excited way. Reputation is not measured in followers, clicks, likes, but reputation is something more durable that can also withstand a small crisis. Reputation is strong links, and it's something that costs time and money. Well, not necessarily money, but money in the sense of that you need to travel, you need to visit people, you need to really maintain these links in order to create a strong reputation.
People think reputation costs less than before. Now, what is the connection between reputation and success nowadays?
I think nowadays it's easy to make the mistake that in the age of social media, reputation is measured in the number of friends on Facebook, followers on Instagram, or likes that a post gets. But in fact, that is something very fragile. It evaporates in nothing. Reputation is really, it's strong relationships that last over time, and those need investment, and it's personal investment. I think for me, the biggest hurdle to building a strong and solid global reputation that help really in business nowadays. It's in this time of pandemic, the difficulty to travel and to meet people in person. Because nowadays you have a lot of the business interactions that you have, even in one city, are via Zoom or WebEx or any other means of video conference. And it's a different thing. If you see somebody or somebody sees you only on a screen, rather than interacting, chatting before, after a meeting, or even on a business trip, having a meal together and spending some time. That's a difficulty in building reputation nowadays. So reputation has actually, true reputation has become more expensive to build in money and in terms of effort and time than it was before.
You're a successful person.
I hope so.
Twice as a diplomat and as an advisor. 3 personal characteristics which help to become successful.
Well, I don't know. I'm only 1 year out of my function as ambassador, so I don't know yet how successful I am or will be. But looks promising.
You're alive. First of all, you're alive.
Yes, I'm alive. In these days, I'm alive and I'm healthy. So that is very important. So that is already a measure of success. 3 characteristics. I think you need to be open-minded and like people and accept people the way they are. Accepting somebody does not mean necessarily agreeing with everything that the person says. In my career, I've met a lot of people that I accepted and that I understood their motivations, why they are the way they are, without necessarily agreeing with everything that they said or their positions. You need to be understanding of other cultures and actually want to learn about other cultures. Because nowadays we don't know. I mean, my daughter is going to be 1 year old in September. My son is going to be 5 in October. I don't know what their world will be like in 20 years. So if I think about what I, as a father, or with my wife as their parents, want to give them as education, it's difficult to say. But in order to be successful, the only thing that I need to give them, for example, is language skills. So that they can take and build their success wherever there's a demand for their skills or whatever they want to do. So there's the first one is openness, liking people, accepting people. Mm-hmm. Second is international portability. So language skills so that you can go to wherever you can have success. And the third, I think, is health. Health. Being healthy, taking care of yourself. And I'm not very good at that myself. Everybody has weaknesses, but we notice that the last year and a half has taught us that there is nothing more important than health. I know very successful people who became very ill, who died of COVID. So taking care of our health is actually the most important, because otherwise the 2 others don't make sense.
Does family help you to achieve the success, or vice versa?
If you don't have a happy family and a happy base in the back of you, you cannot focus on the work that is necessary to be successful. But you cannot make the mistake on focusing too much on work and forgetting your family. I mean, I was never somebody who was prepared to invest 120% of myself into work and then come home and find that the children don't know who I am. I see many people who choose a lifestyle where they provide materially everything, but the nanny and the driver are more parent figures to their children than they themselves. I understand that. Again, I understand that. I don't agree with it necessarily as the way for me. So I decide to take other choices, and sometimes it's difficult, sometimes it's tiring, but I decide to spend also time with my family to make them happy. It gives me the energy to be successful. What
would you advise to beginners who start their business nowadays?
Don't think that you know everything. As an advisor, when I started this activity or second career, I always kept one thing in the back of my head. That was, I did not want to be like some of the big consulting companies or advisory companies who basically, what do? They come, they meet you in your office, they ask you a lot of questions, they look at the answers, they rephrase them somewhat, and they sell you exactly what you want to hear. I wanted to be different. I wanted to really understand and try to provide added value. So I find myself actually saying no to some customers or potential customers because I feel that I cannot really add value. And I prefer not to have a client rather than an unhappy client. And I see it also as a learning opportunity very often. I don't want to say that on TV, but very often I should pay them because they teach me just as much as I can teach them.
Work-life balance. Is it possible in a successful life?
One should always try. One should aim. If you don't want to try, if you don't have this goal, then you lost. If you don't fight, you immediately lost. It's more difficult, especially in the times of permanent electronic communication, where everybody expects immediate answers to emails, messengers, or you always have your phone with you. You're always permanently on call. So it's difficult to find the peace that you sometimes need not only for your family, but also just to think for yourself and just to have peace in your head and hear yourself think.
If you'd have an opportunity to jump back in your past, what would you change in your career, in your life?
I would get maybe an additional, if I would jump back to university, I would maybe do on the side some more training in some technical scientific discipline, like a bit of engineering, because I actually like to understand how things work. And nowadays, when I'm working with technology companies, very often I have to just believe what the engineers tell me. I would have liked to do a bit of that. Otherwise, I'm actually quite happy with the way that my life developed. I cannot complain. There are small things, of course. Maybe in this case you should not have reacted so quickly, but maybe slept over something for a night, or maybe avoided this situation. But as a small feat. Otherwise, I'm happy and content.
We often dream of unsuccessful people to jump back to the university and start career again, and the successful think it's okay.
Yeah.
Did you do mistakes about which you regret?
It's difficult to say. I mean, obviously everybody makes mistakes.
Yes.
It's unavoidable, and mistakes are an opportunity to learn and to grow. I always tell my son, my daughter's too small, but my son, it's not a mistake if you learn from it, if you use it as an opportunity to grow. Of course, I've done things I would not necessarily repeat nowadays, but sometimes you only know it afterwards. And I don't really like people who do this, ex post management, who look back and criticize just for the sake of criticizing. So yes, there were some things in my life that I would not necessarily repeat, but at the time they did not look like obvious mistakes. So I did not do it out of, I don't know how to phrase that in English, out of negligence.
Say it in Russian, it's okay.
I did not do it with intent. A bad mistake is if you know something is wrong and you still do it because you're obstinate or something. But if you think that it felt right, it was right, and then in the end it turns out that maybe circumstances changed and it didn't turn out so great. Those things happen and you learn from them.
If somebody made a mistake, this type of mistake,
yeah.
He knew this is wrong, but he did it, will you give him the second chance? Or he killed his reputation, no chance for him?
I mean, there's always, if you see something's wrong, you still do it, you get caught, I think your life shouldn't be over, obviously, especially in a professional setting. You can deserve a second chance if you make amends. If you truly understand, you do what is needed to correct your mistake. Everybody then deserves a second chance. It also depends on the magnitude of the mistake, of course. But in general, I would say a second chance is always a possibility.
A little bit about your private life. How is your usual day goes?
My usual day, I get up at between 6:30 and 7, I prepare breakfast for the family because we have a small baby and my wife takes care of the baby. I make breakfast for my son, for my wife, and for myself.
Your reputation grows up now.
Then I help get my son ready. I get dressed myself because that's also necessary, and I take my son to kindergarten, and then I go to work, or I work from home. Depends. I'm very flexible in that. I have my meetings. Mainly, I meet people. I do what I do. I do my correspondence. And I go and pick up my son in the evening and take him home, and we have dinner at home, which is either cooked by my wife or by myself, so it depends.
May I ask, is your wife Russian?
She's Russian, yes.
Yeah. Do you have hobbies in your lifestyle?
My children nowadays, there's no time for anything else. My son is going to be 5 in October, the daughter is going to be 1 in September, so they need a lot of attention. But I think children always need attention.
How you see your life, private and business, in 10 years from now?
If I would know what the world would be like in 10 years, nobody knows. I mean, I would be making a lot more money.
How would you?
No, but
what is your dream?
Look, I mean, if my activities here, my business activities develop well, I would be very happy to continue in that way. Maybe I will be bored with them and again seek another direction. The question is, where in the world will we be? Maybe we will still be in Moscow. Maybe we will still be somewhere else. That is difficult to say at the moment. And when we discussed this idea of staying in Moscow, I asked my wife, like, if you know a better place than Moscow, safer, cleaner, where we have the same opportunities, where I can make money, because we would all like to live on St. Bart's or something, but I need to earn my living, where I can make money, we can move there, no questions asked. But both of us, putting our combined brain power together, we did not come up with a better alternative. So for the time being, at least, is Moscow. If in 5 years we find another option, maybe we'll go there. I don't know. Nowadays, for me, the world is open and it's interesting. I would like to have my children to have an international experience. It helped me a lot that I was able to travel at a relatively young age and see a bit of the world. I would not want them to grow up only in one place.
Do you know anybody in our history with whom you would like to talk? Somebody except me.
In our history, if you mean our, you mean Russia?
In world's history.
In the world history, oh yeah. A very good question. I mean, this question, it's not an unusual question, but I never really had an answer to it. I can only tell you the story, what happened when I had the opportunity to talk to somebody who normally you don't really reach. When I was Consul General in New York, I organized an event for World War II, Great Patriotic War veterans who had fought in Luxembourg in the Battle of the Bulge. And I had just read Henry Kissinger's biography where it stated that he was fighting in this particular battle. And so I thought, okay, I heard from a friend where he lives, I'll just write him a letter and invite him. I didn't get an answer, but on the day of the event, I had a phone call from him. He said that he would have really loved to come, but he cannot, he had another event. And then he invited me for lunch. And out of that came a second lunch. But I can tell you, the first time when I was walking to his club in Manhattan, I was nervous. I have met a lot of interesting people, kings, presidents, ministers. But if you meet a gentleman who, at the time, I think he was 92, and all the events that as a diplomat you talk about, you learn about, he was there. You're nervous. I was walking out, I was really thinking, okay, what can I talk to him about? Without making a complete fool out of myself. How can I preserve my reputation? But actually, it was very easy. It was just be yourself. We had a very good conversation, and when I left New York, he invited me for a farewell lunch, where again we had a very good time, and very happy that he's still with us. So maybe I have a chance at the third lunch one day.
People say on any level of success, you can't be happy if you are not grateful. For whom you would say thank you for your success?
When I started my career in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I remember I was sitting with the Secretary General as a new recruit, and he said, there's a job opening at the Department for International Economic Relations, and it's about trade promotion. If you want it, you can have it. I have no idea about trade promotion. I was working then with two people. One was a more experienced diplomat, and the other one was the head of international trade at the Luxembourg Chamber of Commerce, who had like 30 years experience working in the United States, in Singapore, in Luxembourg. His name is also Jacques. I came to him, to his office, to introduce myself. I was 24, he was I think 50 or so. And he accepted me. And he became, in many ways, a mentor, a friend. And I'm grateful to him, because he could have just said, what does this young guy want from me? The second one was my Minister of the Economy, when I was seconded to the Ministry of the Economy as a diplomatic advisor, who also did not show, the formality of a normal government figure, but accepted me also. I was quite young, promoted me very fast, and we became very good friends, and we're still very good friends. Jean-Claude Vesque passed away in December last year. Jean is still with us. He retired, but those two, I would say, I'm very grateful to them. I owe a lot of what I am today to them. And then in the end, it's my parents who made a lot of sacrifices to get me, to go to the university that I wanted to go to, who endured me when I was a difficult teenager and gave me all the opportunities in life. So I would say 4 people.
And I say thank you. А я говорю спасибо моему сегодняшнему собеседнику в диалоге о репутации и успехе. Им был бывший посол Люксембурга в России, Белоруссии и Казахстане, а ныне независимый член совета по устойчивому развитию АО «Газпромбанк» Жан-Клод Кнебелер. Спасибо.
Спасибо.
Choosing business partner, what will you choose? Talent or reputation?
Talent.
Money or reputation?
Depends.
Is client always right?
No.
Does leaders born?
Are leaders born? No, you can learn. But entrepreneurs are born.
Do you believe in chance?
Yes.
Intuition or logic?
Intuition.
Bitter true or sweet lie?
Bitter truth.
Theory or practice?
Practice.
Are thoughts material? What do you think?
Thoughts can become material.
Do you believe in fate?
No.
Is it important to be an optimist in business?
Yes.
Are you optimist?
Otherwise I wouldn't be in business.
Thank you.
Thank you.